Hello and welcome. This is Cheryl, aka Artsy Island Girl for Pear Blossom Press. Today I'm sharing this Floral Bouquet Spinner card with you. So I'm going to start off by using the Tulips and Daffodils press plate and create the background for the card before we create the spinner element. I'm using the Tulips and Daffodils press plate as well as the coordinating stencil set to color it really nice and easily. And then I'm using the Lavender Fields Hexagon dies, the B specifically, to create the spinner or focal point. And then lastly, I'm using the Wild Ride Stampin' Die set. I'm using that curvy die to create the channel for my spinner. Now with this press plate, you have a couple different options on how to create your background. I'm choosing to use the BetterPress system in this video. I'm going to heat emboss the lines to this image, and then I'm going to use that layering stencil to color it in. But you could also use the glimmer system and foil it. If you wanted to have a little bit more shine and shimmer to that background, the glimmer system is the perfect way to go. And there's a bunch of different foils that you can use. I'm going to do the outline to this image fairly simple. I'm going to heat emboss it with some black embossing powder. I used some embossing powder tool on my cardstock, and it's just Hammermill cardstock. Whatever cardstock you like to do your stenciling and ink blending on is perfect for this. I used some embossing ink on that plate, put that clear plate to the base of the BetterPress system, and then ran it through my die cutting machine to press that image into the cardstock. Then I'm using some black embossing powder on top of that image. Now, anytime it's possible, I like to use super fine embossing powder on my pressed images. It just gives them a lot more detail, and I really like the results a lot better. It's not always possible. Not every embossing powder comes in super fine, but when it is, I definitely prefer it, especially for sentiments, but I think it does a better job for images as well. Then I'm using my embossing tool in order to melt that powder on the image. I just love this image. It's perfect for spring. And like I said, you can do it many different ways if you would like. You could, I think this would be gorgeous, this same card with a foiled image and then using that stencil set to heat emboss it. You could even do this on watercolor cardstock and watercolor the image if you didn't want to use those stencils. But the stencils do make it really quite easy to color that image. So I put my piece on my tacky mat in order to hold it in place. It's also going to help to hold my stencils in place as well. The stencils are really easy to line up. There's 5 different layers to the stencil. Now, fun fact, I do not enjoy the colors yellow and orange. So I'm going to create pink daffodils and I'm going to do purple tulips. So for the center of that daffodil, I'm using Kitsch Flamingo. For the outer petals, I'm going to be using Kitsch Flamingo as well as picked raspberry for just a little bit of a darker color. But if you're the type that absolutely loves the yellows and oranges of daffodils, go ahead and do it in those colors. The other reason I chose to do the pinks and the purples is because I'm going to use those bees and they're going to be black and yellow, and I thought the yellow with the black would show up more on the pink daffodils than they would on yellow daffodils. But again, with any floral, you have a lot of creative opportunities with your colors. For the tulips, I said I'm doing them in purples. They're going to be kind of a pinky purple. I'm using some Victorian velvet as well as seedless preserves. I'm starting with that Victorian velvet, but at the base of the tulip, I'm using the seedless preserves. I always love with florals to make the base of the petals a little bit darker than the tip of the petals. I think it just gives it some visual interest to it. Now the second and third layer for my flowers have the pieces for both the tulips as well as the daffodils, and I don't want to get pink on my tulips and I don't want to get purple on my daffodils, so I'm just using some printer paper just to mask that off. It sticks right to that sticky mat, so it works really quickly and easily, and this way I can get the exact color where I want it and I don't have to worry about a different color going in the wrong spot. It just keeps it nice and crisp and perfect. Another option would be to use some painter's tape to mask that off, but the printer paper works really easily and it sticks right to the mat, so I don't have to tape anything down. So after we have those 2 layers for the florals, the last 2 layers do the leaves and stems. And I'm going to do those in bundled sage and peeled paint distress ink. I'm using all distress inks here. You can just use your favorite inks for ink blending. There's so many out there, and these are what I tend to go for. I tend to go for dye-based inks because I just prefer the look of it. But if you prefer oxides, those will work as well. The great thing when you're using those to stencil with is they clean off the stencil really easily. You just have to run them under some water and they rinse right off. So I'm starting with the bundled sage, and then I'm just doing that peeled paint where I want the color to be darkest. So at the base of the leaves and stems, anywhere those leaves and stems go behind another flower, that's where I'll make them a little bit darker. So as easy as that, we have our image colored. Now what I had intended to do was color the background just a little bit, just tint it with some blue before I did my stenciling. I forgot to do that ahead of time, so I'm doing it right now. I'm just doing it with some tumbled glass. I think it looks a little bit better if you do it ahead of time, because then your floral colors as well as your greenery colors are on top of that blue. It's a really, really pale blue though, so it's not going to change those colors all that much. Now I want this to be a little bit smaller because I do want to have a mat around it. So I'm cutting it down to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And I'm going to take some black cardstock and create a mat that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Now, if this were a foiled image, what I typically will do is I'll do solid hot foiling while I'm doing my foiling, and I'll use that solid hot foiling to create those mats for that. Next, I want to create my channel for my bee to spin around in. Now this channel is quite big compared to some of the channels that you can make. You could use the like to move it die set and create your own channel and customize it exactly where you want it to go. I liked this one because it just kind of has a random scribble to it that I thought would be perfect for the bee. Now we don't have to worry about losing this part of our image because I'm going to glue that right down to the mat. So when we see our card at the end, we're going to see that through the channel. So we're not going to have a open space in the middle of our image. So when you cut that out, don't lose that piece, keep it, because we are going to reuse it. So I'm going to do 3 bees on this card. One of them is going to be the spinner. The other 2 are just going to be glued right down to a flower. This is from the Lavender Fields Hexagon die set. Now for the black part of the bee, I'm using velvet cardstock. It comes with an adhesive background. Or backing. I just put it on some black scrap cardstock. This is going to give it a nice fuzzy texture. I always love finding different ways to add extra textures to cards, and velvet cardstock makes it really, really easy. For the wings for the bee, I'm just using some vellum. I think it's nice when you do bee wings with something that's a little bit transparent. Then I add the top part to the bee and let that dry. Now with velvet cardstock, you do have to let it dry just a little bit longer because that glue absorbs into the velvet before it starts setting. So I glue my black mat to my A2 card base. And then I'm just going to place my floral image on there. I'm not gluing the floral image down because we need to use some foam tape to give that spinner some room to move. But I'm placing it down there so I can place that channel on the inside there, so I have it perfectly glued to my background. Now we're ready to start working on that spinner feature. So I can lift that piece up there. We're using a snap and slide or snap and spin. It just clicks in place, and I'm going to attach my bee to it. Now the snap and slide or snap and spin is just a little bit bigger than the bee, so you will see a little bit of it. But because our background is fairly busy and that bee has a lot going on to it as well, you don't really see it. If you look hard, you can see the outer edges of it, but it's not super visible. It's not obvious because there's so much going on here. After gluing my bee to that snap and slide and doing that just with a sticky spot, I'm ready to start adding the foam adhesive to the backing here. So this is double thick foam adhesive. There will be a link to it in the supply list as well as all the other supplies that are being used. You want to have a foam tape that is thicker than your mechanism here, in this case the snap and slide or snap and spin. Now, if you don't have foam tape that's thick enough, you can do a double layer. So it doesn't have to be thick off the bat. You can add an extra layer to it. Now I'm making sure that my whole card has some support, so I'm putting this all the way around, but you can see that I'm making sure that I am a decent amount away from that channel, and I will test it just to make sure that I don't put my foam tape too close. If you put your foam tape too close, it's going to stop that from spinning and moving, and we don't want that to happen. So that's why as I'm doing it, I'll lift it every once in a while and test it just to make sure I don't accidentally get it too close to it. Once I have all of my foam tape on there, I just take the backing off and we're ready to add that to our card base. Now, when we add it to the card base, I'm going to be putting my face right above that card just to make sure that the channel that I have glued to the base lines up with my image. So it looks like a complete image there, even though we have that cut out completely. But you can see by doing that, we don't have a black line there where the bee would be buzzing. We have our complete floral image. So I'm going to glue the other two bees flat. If you wanted, you could create them as spinner features as well. You would just have to use different dies for those channels. However, I found when a card has more than one spinner feature, they often don't move as you like, because if you're tilting it one way for one spinner, it does something different with the other. So that's why I opted to glue those two bees down flat and just have one that did the spinning and or the moving. Now I want my card to have a sentiment to it, so I'm using two of the sentiments from the Bouquet of Hugs sentiment press plate and die set. This is from the same collection that the Tulips and Daffodils plate is from, and I wasn't sure exactly which one I was gonna want on the card. There was one that I preferred, but I thought it might be a little bit too big, so I did two at the same time, just so that I had a couple options once they were done. Now I'm gonna stamp and emboss them the exact same way I stamped and embossed my Tulip and Daffodil image. So I'm just using Hammermill Cardstock again. I am putting embossing powder tool on there, using the VersaMark ink on my plate, and then putting the clear plate to the base and then putting that through my machine, adding the super fine embossing powder on top of that, and then heat embossing those sentiments. And these sentiments have coordinating dies to them, so they cut them out perfectly. I always love when sentiments have coordinating dies. It just makes everything look nice and neat and perfect. So once I have that embossed, I can match those coordinating dies. The die or the sentiment that I don't use for this card, I'll just save in that press plate and die set for a future card. Anytime I have extra sentiments, I just save it with the press plate or the stamp set that they're created with. That way, if I want to use that set again, I might already have a sentiment in there that I've previously done that might work perfect for the current project that I'm working on. So once I have the dies matched, I do tape them down with a little bit of Best Ever Craft tape to hold them in place while I'm doing the die cutting. I don't want those dies to shift on me. And now I can test both of those sentiments. This is the sentiment that I liked what the words were a little bit more, but it's just a little bit too big for the bottom of that card. The bee covers it a little bit too much. So I opted to use the other sentiment just because it covered a little bit less space and you could see it a little bit better with that bee. I still like this sentiment, but I just preferred the words of the other one a little bit better. But here is the final card. Now, again, if you want to add a little bit more flashiness to that background, foiling or heat embossing that image with, say, gold embossing powder would be perfect for that. I chose the black to coordinate with the black of the bees, as well as to give it a nice bold black mat around it. But you can see how easily that bee moves in there. And I just love cards that have that interactive feature. You can find all of the products that I've used listed and linked down in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all the time that you spend with us. Have a fantastic day.